All right, guys, big, warm welcome for Anna. Let her hear it.
Like all the way down. All right, am I good on sound? Okay, so about 4 years ago, I broke up with my first true love. And about 4 hours after that, I started my period and was like, shit, maybe I overreacted. But even if I started to doubt the breakup, he didn't. He jumped on board and he would just really champion that breakup through the finish line. And we had this sort of like passionate, dramatic, tumultuous, awful, great relationship. And it kind of carried through into our breakup. We were still very much in love, but we knew that we were slowly killing each other. And so we ended on this note of like, well, let's just go work on our own problems. And if it's meant to be, the universe will bring us back together. But I give it an A for effort. I try to move on, but every guy I date just reminds me of what I just don't feel there, and man, did I still feel over here. So I would eventually boomerang back to him and him likewise. And these meetups had this like predictable quality where like eventually, like sooner rather than later, we'd remember exactly why we broke up in this like epic fight, and I would vow to never do it again, and then I did it again. And after about 9 months of this seemingly never-ending cycle, I was like, I gotta do something huge. So I decided I was just gonna move out of the country. Okay, so I'm not that impulsive. I was working through some grad school applications, and I was debating going overseas, something I wish I had done when I was younger. And this was my chance. And I was really drawn to go to Lebanon. I'm Armenian. We're kind of cousins. It kind of made sense. But what didn't make sense is that he worked for this NGO, and he covered the Middle East. And Lebanon is in the Middle East. So I didn't really trust that this like grand gesture was not a little way to keep that window open. But then I got this good news. He was going to be laid off. And I still wanted to go. So I did it. I bought the ticket, I quit my job, and I'm off. And we're about 2 weeks away from my flight. And I start to get a little annoyed that he doesn't care all that much that I'm leaving. And I really wanted to have like one last little positive closure. And so I package this all in this perfect email, and I send it off to him, and he responds pretty quickly like, whoa, calm down. And I'm like, don't tell an angry girl to calm down. And he's like, yeah, I figured we'd say goodbye, but like I also thought we could say goodbye in Lebanon. I guess I didn't tell you. My work's sending me there, and I'm going to be there at the same time you land. What? And I'm pissed, and I'm crushed, and I'm devastated, and I feel like the universe is laughing at me and reminding me that I can't run from my problems. So I decide on that day that if I really meant it, if I really wanted to move on, that day was going to be the day. So I don't respond to the email, I leave the country without saying goodbye, and I last about 48 hours in Lebanon before that Mediterranean Sea starts to blow holes through my convictions, and those warm Arabian nights get a little lonely. So I reach out. Same thing, predictable. We're fighting, we're remembering. The words are cruel because we know we have nothing left to lose. And he's kicking me out of his hotel room, and I'm like, no, like we have to have positive closure. And he's like, it's never gonna happen. And I'm like, I know. So it finally sinks in, and I walk out in this classic Beiruti street just lined with graffiti, and it's dark, and I'm alone, and I feel it. And it wasn't a new feeling. I'd felt this self-loathing a million times before. But this time, there was an added feeling. There was a fear. I mean, I felt like I'd jeopardized my one chance at this fresh start, and that the city was going to be forever haunted by his memory. And I never saw him again. And I eventually moved on. Eventually. Not because I moved to the middle of nowhere, because Facebook stalking your ex is an international pastime. But I have to say, I do think of him, oftentimes when people ask me, like, why did you go to Beirut, of all places in the world? Like, why Beirut? And I never have, like, a straight answer on any of that. And sometimes I get this response like, gosh, you are just such a brave girl. And I want to contradict them, and I'm like, God, if you only knew. But the truth is, I don't even know. At this point, I'm not sure if I could really say for certain if it was about running away from him or running to him, or if in the end it was even about him all along. What I do know are all the amazing people that I met through this journey that changed my life in ways I could not have predicted on that walk home that night. And I know where I stand today, 4 years later, at the Moth in LA. Like, oh my God. And so yeah, I guess 4 years later, I'm just gonna take it. I am a brave girl. I didn't even get the whistle. Oh.